Somewhere in the black mining hills of Dakota, there lived a young boy named Rocky Raccoon. One day his woman ran off with another guy, hitting young Rocky in the eye. Rocky didn't like that. He said, "We're gonna get that boy." So one day he walked into town, booked himself a room in the local saloon. Rocky Raccoon checked into his room, only to find Gideon's Bible. Rocky had come, equipped with a gun, to shoot off the legs of his rival. So, good afternoon, everybody. There's a very short lecture, a sharing of idea. I know that there's not a very popular idea of nowadays, especially at the time when we live in the situation where the erosion of law is standing at the first place. From one point of view, it's very simple to abuse people. From the second point, when administrative measures are giving the situation when the justice is not working, when the judiciary is not working, when we live by the law of the court, we live by the law which gives Rocky Raccoons the right, to find their rivals and to shoot them, and other guys take another guns and do it the same way. I can't say that it is clear situation for understanding what we have to do at the future. And one more point and one more idea I want to share this day is the idea which is connected with the essence of criminal law. So the theme of this very short presentation is the essence of criminal law, the partnership of rivals. Partnership of rivals, what does it mean? From one point of view, it's very simple. Partnership consists of partners. From the second point, there has never been a partnership between the state and the criminal. Because, the traditional Hegel's position and the traditional Hegel's quote, a criminal declares a right to be a criminal, a right to commit a crime. The right to commit a crime means that the criminal has his own legal system, that the criminal and the criminals as a whole has his own legal ideology and psychology of understanding what they have to do in this situation. That is why the partnership is impossible from the classic theory, from the classical state of view. I have to punish you. I am the state, I have the right to punish. That is my, not only declared and proclaimed, that is my, common right. That is the ground, the landscape of states' hierarchy of norms to punish his people. That is why, for example, now when we are faced on the a very deadly situation in the world regarding coronavirus pandemic, the states, the governments used the draconic measures, but the idea is in partnership. The idea that after the Second World War, the situation has changed. The human rights idea, the human rights concept should be at the first place. And if we promote the limitation of human rights up to this certain period of time, We have to do it by law. We have to do it due to constitution. We have to do it due to specific understanding of what one state or another state have to do. Just try to understand. When 2014 we begin this war with the country aggressor, so well, the specific operations of the southeastern part of Ukraine, we say that Ukraine has limited their uh, participation in European Convention. We say it by the specific declaration. What did we say now? Nothing. We're doing it because of emergency. But the state of emergency should be evolved in the proper manner and in proper way. Yes, there is one of main ideas of traditional or classic theory of criminal law, which means that criminal law is the last argument of kings, ultima ratio regis, last argument of promoting the sovereignty of the state. But the state, due to positions of Professor Stelzo, has three kinds of sovereignty: state sovereignty, nation sovereignty, and people sovereignty. That is why state, people, and nation has to be coordinated, the whole of partnership. There is a partnership of sovereignties. And if it is, that we have the last argument which is connected with the rivalship. If it is not, then we have a repression, then we have a specific oppressive regimes, or we have a violation of human rights in the mass characteristic. Yes, now that is the case, but then the case should be very, very strictly limited by the specific measures from, well, the legal system. Rocky Raccoon, yes, the idea of individual judgment is not very popular during the last period of time, but when the judicial system is collapsed, that is the fact. That is why one say that criminal law of nowadays is connected with two main characteristics. One of them is disharmony, and the second one is asymmetry. What does it mean? Disharmony means that there is a difference between public law and criminal law as a specific part of public law, between disciplinary sanctions and political responsibility as a whole. That is the fact that they changed each other, and sometimes, for example, now we have a draconic fees only in administrative law, which are not compliant with the characteristic of fees in criminal law due to breakage of quarantines, for example. But we have it. So the same situation will have in common law countries in Australia, well, in Great Britain, in France, there is a greatest limitation of people's freedoms, but that is the fact. We have to do it in the situation of coronavirus, but due to legal norms, due to specific legal tradition. Asymmetry, that is the same characteristic of criminal law, which is not a greatest idea of nowadays. What does it mean? From one point, we have a disproportion in regulation on the level of criminal law and on the level of administrative law and so on and so forth. From the second point, they have so-called foggy criminal policy, when criminal policy is depending on the specific situation or specific minds. Sometimes we're regulated from international organizations, sometimes from our culture, and that is why we have a very specific mixture of so-called math printer, when laws are making by specific kinds of activity which is not complies with the ideas of criminal policy and not complies with the ideas of scientific understanding of what they have to do in this situation. So, the next position, effectiveness. So, disharmony, asymmetry, and effectiveness. These three moments, three horses which are not work together because they are rivals, but they have to be in a partnership. This effectiveness on the level of state, effectiveness on the level of nation, effectiveness on the level of people's attitudes should be constructed to create harmony and symmetry. Harmony and symmetry means that the notion of crime, the notion of punishment, the notion of other uh, special treatment for criminal offenders should be understandable for all of the sectors and should be understandable not only for all of the sectors, but should be involved in it. That is why, to my position, criminal law of nowadays is the law of punishment, treatment, and crime. Their connection with each other. Their connection with the two main principles of nowadays criminal policy: principle of legality and principle of certainty. The criminal law should be certain for reasoning or making it flexible and effective for the specific situation, and the criminal law should be legal. Because principle of legality, which is described in this Article 7 European Convention on Protecting of Human Rights and Fundamental Freedoms, that is one of the main principles of convention. Every crime should be punished, but should be punished with the specific measures. Every crime should be constructed in specific law. That is why law of partnership means the partnership between state, society, criminal, victims, and morals. And after that, we have this partnership of rivals. I don't know whether it would be at the nearest future. Sometimes, in some year, 2 or 3 years ago, we were trying to make a matrix on criminalization. If you want, you'll find this issue in the internet resources. But the matrix means that we have to be charged by people. We have to be charged by state. We have to be charged by every member of society, to morals, to make legality, principle of legality and principle of certainty understandable, to make it on the fundamental principle of protecting of human rights and fundamental freedoms. That is the case. That is the idea. Or we have the situation. It seems, had broken his dreams by stealing the girl of his fancy. I don't know that we try to broke our dreams. Why?